Now we're going to move on to today's business news for you on the programme. We're going to start today in the United States, in fact, the signature of that massive spending plan on infrastructure, and Stephen Carroll is back from his break with the latest for us.
It's a package worth around $1 trillion, and it's the biggest federal investment in American infrastructure in more than a decade. Now, it includes money for fixing roads and bridges, investment in transport and upgrading broadband connections. The Democratic Party is now shifting focus to an even larger healthcare, education and climate change bill, as Yinka Oyatade now reports.
Bravo.
It seemed like a long and elusive milestone, but US President Joe Biden has finally reached it. Surrounded by both Republicans and Democrats in a rare bipartisan effort, the president signed into law a $1.2 trillion infrastructure plan that he believes will boost the economy and create jobs.
We've heard countless speeches and promises and white papers from experts, but today we're finally getting this done. So my message to the American people is this: America's moving again, and your life is going to change for the better.
The legislation will put $110 billion into roads and bridges in the US. $73 billion will go to upgrading the country's electricity grid. Broadband internet will also be expanded under the plan. Biden hopes to see dangerous lead water pipes phased out with the law and the electric vehicle charging network enlarged. The infrastructure revamp is the most significant government investment of its kind since the 1950s. The plan was divisive for the Republican Party. While it was met with resistance from some, a significant number of Republicans in the Senate and a handful in the House showed their support for the bill. It's been hailed as a bipartisan achievement.
The bill I'm about to sign along is proof that despite the cynics, Democrats and Republicans can come together and deliver results.
The signing of the legislation may be a win for Biden, but it comes at a time when the president's ratings are in a downward spiral. This as he struggles to get a hold of rising inflation and high petrol prices.
Let's turn next to what's happening on the stock markets for you. European shares starting the day in the green. We've got small gains across London, Paris and Frankfurt at the open. The drinks company Diageo among those seeing gains today, and that's after their latest results were published. In Asia, earlier investors were watching that meeting between Joe Biden and Xi Jinping for hints of what it might mean for future trade relations between the world's two biggest economies. Not a huge amount of movement on the indices today, though. Just the Hang Seng in Hong Kong up by 1%, and that's being boosted by a rise in property shares. We know there's been lots of worries about the property market in China, so some optimism in that sector today. Moving on, the use of so-called virgin or new plastics among a group of more than 60 major global companies will peak this year. That's according to figures from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. Multinational firms like Nestle, PepsiCo and Unilever all taking part in a project to cut their use of non-recycled plastic by 20% by 2025. That's compared to the levels they were using in 2018. Now, Unilever, which makes products including Dove soap, used 11% recycled plastic in 2020. Other companies lagging behind, Mars, for example, reported using no recycled plastics last year. Now, here in France, there's a new arrival on the country's railways. A co-operative has begun running its first freight services after crowdfunding from thousands of people. The new services were made possible by the deregulation of the French railway network. Ellen Gainsford has more.
Train tracks in the French countryside are often left abandoned and unused. But now one of these routes is getting a second chance. It's thanks to a cooperative made up of people from all walks of life, from civil servants to former SNCF employees. They're running freight to Toulouse on a route that had fallen out of use. For the head of the cooperative, it's a victory.
Voilà, le fait d'avoir le premier train qui circule, c'est un premier aboutissement. C'est un peu un accouchement en quelque sorte. Et c'est vraiment, c'est un moment de joie aussi, faut le dire. Donc ça, c'est chouette.
The next challenge for Railcoop is to reboot the Bordeaux-Lyon route for passengers.
Donc c'est de faire venir les gens qui actuellement utilisent leur voiture pour que demain ils utilisent le train, pour des raisons écologiques, pour des raisons de sûreté, enfin il y a plein de raisons à cela.
They're refitting these carriages for the line. These freight trains were built in the 1980s and haven't been in service for years. The cooperative rents the trains as the budget is tight.
Un wagon neuf, on est sur environ 100 000 euros. Nous, en optant pour la location, on peut faire des économies qui sont assez substantielles.
When it was created 2 years ago, the cooperative only had a dozen members. Now they have more than 9,000, who've all invested a minimum of €100. Railcoop plans to hire around 100 staff members when the passenger route is up and running. If these lines are a success, the organisation has its sights on other destinations. Toulouse-Rennes could be the next line to get a revamp.
Really exciting developments on French railways could mean being able to discover parts of the country that people don't know by rail for the first time in a very long time.
That certainly sounds like good news. Thank you very much, Stephen. Stephen Carroll with that business news for you on the programme. We're going to have